All right, and we are live. Thank you so much, Tucker, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for the last couple of weeks and been trying to think of what I can say, but I think you're gonna lead me along the way, and we're gonna get through it just fine.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to it too. After doing so many gym owners here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, to like branch out into the rest of Wyoming, I feel like it's honestly like such an honor, really. So tell me a lot about what you're doing. You are in Buffalo, Wyoming.
Yeah, and I wanted to thank you for doing this too, because like I say, that the gym community, the fitness world needs people like you in it that get these plugs out there and get people to, the
Marketing.
traction. And if they're going through Buffalo, little Buffalo, Wyoming, it's a beautiful little place, and I would love for everybody to come visit. We have a lot of different attractions, and then you can come on by the Buffalo Athletic Club, one of my businesses here in town. And so I got that. I guess we can start on that. I started
Please.
12 years ago, and what kind of got me into that was I've always been wanting to help people out in different ways. And when I was real young and the less fortunate kids, I would get like I got old flyer radio, the wheelbarrows or the wagons, little white wagons, and I redid one for Christmas for a kid one year because I knew they didn't have money. And so I put a little teddy bear and a couple of gifts in it, and I pulled it up to the front of the house, and I knocked on the door, and I was wearing a Santa hat on. I mean, he wouldn't have known, wouldn't have thought I was Santa by any means because I'm coming down a chimney. But so that was my real inspiration, is giving back. I've always loved to give back, and if I can give back for the health and the fitness world and keep people around longer to be, stay with their kids, their families, their daughters, their sons, you know what I mean, their grandparents. I mean, heck, if I can give back in that way and promote longevity in people's lives, that's what I wanted to do. And so it's been a wild ride, but it's been great, and we're not going nowhere. So that, I guess, that was kind of my inspiration behind it, was just wanting to help people out when I first started this endeavor. But now it's brought me in a whole different world. So um, I guess we can talk about whatever, I mean, on the back end that you want to talk about.
Please, yeah. So did it start? Let me start with like way, way, way back. Is this your first company? Is this your first business? Your first job? Is it a franchise? Did you start it all by yourself?
Yep. So there was a little operation going on in Buffalo, and the Conklins, they run around, I guess, the world. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were starting these little gyms up, these 24-hour fitness clubs in little towns, that needed them, because we had a YMCA and that was about it. And
Oof.
the hours are kind of, love the wise, but it's hard if you're working in the working class.
Yeah.
Going before you get to work, you got to get in real early if they're open, and then going after when you get off, if you're doing mine work or something like that. That's what I mean. Methane filled work or oil work around here is pretty huge. And so it's a hard market to tap. So they started it, and it ran for a couple of years, and then I think I was 19 or 20, and that was my first endeavor, my first business. My parents always owned multiple companies and did different things when I was growing up, and so they were kind of my role models. I watched them, and they taught me hard work, dedication, like a firm handshake, and just being honest goes a long ways. And so I kind of built my moral compass, my foundation on that. And I've been burnt, a couple times over the years, but comparative to that and being able to give back, I work with the special needs, the Johnson County A team. And they're some of the most amazing, resilient human beings I've ever met. And I wish that more people would take, a page out of their book, because the compassion, the drive, the determination, I mean, it's top notch. It's very hard to find somebody that driven. And so when I got to work with them guys for about a year, I was kind of in a lull on some of my other jobs, and I got to really train with them and help them through the Special Olympics. And it was one of the most rewarding, gratifying things I've ever done. And I've done a lot of different crazy things around the world. So, but like I said, I just love to give back, and it was my first business. And like I say, reel me in if I'm going on too much, because like I say, I'm a talker.
No, please. You're
So,
going right in a timeline. This is great.
and so it was the first. Don't get me wrong. The first few years, especially in the small town demographics and whatnot, it's a hard market to tap.
Yeah.
It wasn't always rainbows and butterflies. I was scraping by sometimes, and it takes a lot of my pride to say this, because now I'm in a totally different scenario, and I'm doing great. But I did the first year. I called my mom up and I said, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to be a couple $100 short on this month." Like, started building my credit when I was 14 years old, and I was like, and I didn't want to lose anything or have my credit get done. And I said, can you give me $100 or something, help me out? The best thing she's ever did, said, "Nope, I can't." She said, "I told you business is hard." And she said, "Me and your dad went through it, and we've been through multiple things, so you got to figure it out. And that'll make you, I promise you, this is going to help you out a lot more than hinder you." And back then I was so mad. I was like, "Oh, dang her." I was like, and I love my mom to death. She's this 5 foot nothing. a little short, sweet lady that's just the most religious thing in the world. Doesn't cuss, doesn't, you know what I mean? And her prayer, she's a prayer warrior. She says a prayer for you, it comes true. And so she I mean, did a huge thing for me there because I probably would have been reliant on people if you know, in that aspect. Now I understand you got to do what you got to do to make the magic happen. And I've been pretty, you know, strategic in different areas, but sometimes I get a little willy nilly, and I've had to reel it in and figure out ways to make ends meet and make it work. But it's made me a better person. I truly believe in the long run. So.
That's awesome. Wow. So then getting it all going and then surviving COVID, you said you've been in business for 12 years, which is 6 years ago now, which is crazy to think
Isn't
about.
that wild?
Yeah.
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 That was a rough time. So that period I had to shut down, you know, from when they started shutting businesses down, and I had a contract with the city of Buffalo and the police department, and I helped out this public works, sanitation, the office personal, you know, and then the PD, and then the Johnson County Fire if they wanted to use it. And so I had a contract where I just let anybody come in, since it's a 24/7, so they can work with their scheduled night shifts, swing shifts, what doesn't matter. You know, I want to help out the city too and help out the PD so they can catch the bad guys. You know what I mean? If I got 3 boys and they grew up in this town, and I want them to have the drugs out of the schools and have a safe environment for our younger, and we have a really beautiful, like Buffalo. I can't toot Buffalo's horn enough. I don't want to break it up too much because I don't want it to blow up and get, you know, to be on the map. But I really enjoy this place. But I want to give back, like I said, to the community, the town. And so we were doing that, and they called me up and they said, "Hey, Tuck," it was one of my buddies on the force, and he's like, "Unfortunately, you have to close down." And I was like, "Why?" I thought this was like a you know, essential place that for mind and health. And you know, I said, when you're closed in your house and you can't talk to nobody and you're not getting any good bacteria or bad bacteria, I was like, then you are going to get sick. Your immune system's going to go down. You need that mental, that physical. I mean, you need that in your life. That was my big sales point because I was the first business in Buffalo to open back up. But I called Governor Gordon 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and this poor office lady, Erin, by the end of it, I was like, hey, I'm going to implement everything we need to be for safety, have our 6-foot circumferences in our areas. I moved my equipment around so it was spaced out more. I had to take a couple things out of the floor. But I catered to that so I could keep people safe, but also keep people healthy and keep them rocking and rolling. Because I'm a firm believer, if you don't use it, you lose it. It doesn't matter if your mind, your body, anything.
Yeah.
You have to keep pushing forward. And I've seen miracles happen with people. Us as Homo sapiens sapiens, we're a crazy creature and a crazy race, but we're really resilient. And that's a cool thing. So, I mean, I'm a firm believer in just don't ever give up. That's what got me to where I am today is everybody. When I was younger, I was a little bit wild. You know, I think that's what my superpower is. I honed it in. And when I didn't have nothing to do, I was getting into trouble. But now operating and owning 5 or 6 businesses and you know, being the CEO and main shareholders, running crews and doing all sorts of different things, it keeps me busy. And I don't have the time to, you know, my crazy mind to go off and stray off and get into trouble somehow. So, but that I've never given up because people ask me, well, how do you work with people in these high places, you know, queens and kings and this and that, and for my contracting business. And I said, you know, if I can do it, that's just live proof that anybody can do it. So don't ever limit yourself, you know, at the end of the day. I always believe in yourself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely. And so wait, how did you get started in other businesses? And I'm of the understanding that they're not all gym.
nope. Yeah. So I own another BAC, which is Bombshells American Cantina. And me and a business partner started that last August of 2025. So we're going to be a year in August 2026, and we've done some amazing things. It's a World War I, World War II Officers Club inspired bar, and so we have, I mean, a lot of history. Our NASA stuff underneath the bar, we got to work with Mike Gold, a former NASA administrator. So all the patches, Apollo patches, all the stuff has been in our orbit. We have actual proofs of the moon landing underneath our bar. We have Saddam Hussein's #1 Baghdad 1 Iraq 1 license plate of his #1 limo with his flag at the end of it and a bank statement that was in his briefcase. We were looking for him. He wasn't in there, but he didn't need it. there was some other, I mean, we have a lot of crazy cool history, and it's just a really cool, relaxed spot. Most of the time you go to a bar to forget, you know what I mean? You're sad. You're going, here at our place, you come to remember and give thanks and give great back to, you know, the great men and women that served our country so strong and proud. And some of them didn't get to make it home. And that's why we give thanks to that. We have a wall of heroes in there on the back wall when you walk in, and it has pictures, patches, different, you know, groups and different people. And then we have a big flag and SF, you know, tier 1, tier 2 guys and gals come in and sign it. And we got all sorts of crazy cool. I mean, it's really like a museum. but it's a really cool laid back bar too. And there's a lot of cool people. You'll go in. Yesterday there was an FBI agent in there, and we started talking about some guys we knew on the back end. And by the end of it, he's like, "Can I send you out a patch to hang on your cup wall in there?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Will the PD be mad?" And I was like, "You're federal. They trump state and local." but but so I've got to do some really cool things. And then my other business is AEPS, Elder Executive Protective Services. My buddies call it APES. So we do a lot of different applications. Our scope goes very wide in range. We do aerial, thermal. We do a lot of different applications to keep people safe and keep things of importance safe and protected too. So that I can't talk a whole bunch about that because a lot of NDAs and confidential stuff is signed. But that's a really cool business on the back end. That's what makes me feel young and feel alive and not know if I'm going to be. I'm a bullet sponge. So is it today I'm going to be firefighter or catching around or trying to get stabbed or. So that's kind of a fun business. And then I own TMS Fun on the Run, which for my 3 boys, it's a bounce castle business. And it's not huge, but we have a couple, I think 4 or 5 castles. We have some water tramps that you put in a lake or in a pool. And so I have that. And then I have T. Alger Services, which is my federal firearms license. And I'm a pyrotechnician. So I dabble in explosives and firearms. Therefore, I kind of tap all markets and I try to help collaborate with Buffalo, and I'm a Chamber of Commerce board member in Buffalo. I help out on the back end with some other operations in town. I've lived here my whole life, and like I say, it's the place I'm going to die at. I would never. I've traveled all over London. I mean, I've been all over the world, but I would never ever want to live anywhere else. Maybe London, because London is pretty beautiful, but the history there, they preserve it. Here in the States, we're getting better at it, but we used to just tear the crap down and put something new up, And I'm like, why not preserve that history, keep that fresh? And I mean, the castles and everything over in London, and it's just beautiful. And there's you can feel the history when you're over there.
Yeah. Yep. I think a lot of people, I've had quite a few people on my podcast talk about wanting to go to Europe and being able to experience some of those older
Please
things.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can say anything, please do. I was on the Thames River. Actually, I'm in my. Let me grab. I'll show you. I got some real quick.
Oh boy, this is gonna be great.
I'm in my office / bar. I have in my house. I have clients come down for some of my other meetings. But that I don't know if you can see it. Where's my camera at? Right there. So that's an old stem of a pipe, and this is 2,000-year-old Roman pottery I found in the Thames River.
Wow.
When I was there, I went down and I would stand on the Thames in front of one of the castles. I'd get the Predator Mangers right from our hotel. We'd walk down about 2 blocks, and I'd get a coffee before I'd do my work with the legal teams. And I'd look over the Thames by the Tower Bridge and I'm a people watcher. I'm interested in people kind of like in your industry, psychology and everything. It's really interesting to me, and the human mind is just crazy. And so I people watch and I just, kind of take things in, and I'd go there and I'd stand there and drink coffee every day. And so one day I was like, I got to get one of the mudlarking passes and go see if I can find some cool things. And so I did. I found a couple little cool trinkets I got to bring back. So
That's awesome. I would have
yeah.
A whole room full of trinkets at that rate. That's
Oh, if I could have had a plane to ship it all back, I would have. Because I was bringing a whole bunch back, and I was like, oh man, I got to give this to the hotel guys, and because I couldn't take it home, and I went and put some back. But there is a lot of bones down there, and not all horses and stuff. There's some human remains, so it was kind of weird. But I would tell anybody the foods there is out of this world, amazing. I mean, it's great, and it's no preservatives, no hormones, it's all fresh, so it all tastes just so much better. Check out the Shard. That's a pretty amazing place. The elevator's super fast, and it gets you from floor 0 to 300 in 2 seconds. It's crazy. Not 2 seconds, but it's really fast. But there's some really cool attractions there, and I would definitely say anybody that hasn't been, get over there. Go across the pond. So.
It's interesting to hear that you have such a vast variety of businesses and such a wide life experience. I feel like a lot of people end up owning the same thing, just more of them. And so then, yeah, tell me.
I thought about expanding the gym, and I was thinking, but these days, and that's another thing, the fitness industry, I wish more of us little owners would get together and collaborate, because insurance is just insane. And every year I have a tough time, and they're just trying to squeeze out the small 24-hour clubs, and you do the big corporate, which I get it, but it cuts everybody else out of the game, because my accountant said, geez, Louise, Tuck, insurance this year, killed you. And I was like, I know. I was like, Pam, I don't know what else to do. I can't go anywhere else. I can't shop around, and because the other policies wouldn't cover what I need to cover, the umbrella policies and all that. And so I that's kind of when I started venturing out. But I would never, like I say, if I could find out a better way to have cheaper insurance and streamline it and make it to where it's, you know, a little bit easier to manage on the back end, I would have gyms. I'd have one in London. I'd have a bar in London. I'd have stuff all over the place where my places I'd love to, love to go. I'd have one right down the little river in the alley, and I'd one of the canal boats. I'd live on it down there instead of having a house. But I think I would expand, but like I said, that's the gym, and I'm sure all the other guys in the 24-hour clubs and gals out there that are owning and operating, they understand it too. I think if you have a certain set hours, if it's like eight to eight, I think it'd be a lot cheaper. But when you can't have staff manning it 24/7, that's when you start getting your price hikes. And I have a tanning bed in my club, so that's an extra cost that goes up, and that's not. And I have a boxing area in the back, little cage. It's not as big as a cage, but it keeps you closer for grappling and ground moves and staying tight and intact in combat. So,
Wow.
but in my gym, it's hard to explain because I've been, like I say, to all over the world, in different gyms all over the world, and it truly is special and unique. Everybody that goes to it says that everybody in there is the camaraderie, the banter, and just everybody breaking everybody up, and everybody just roots for everybody. Everybody's in everybody's corner, and it's a really cool thing to see because you see people come in and some of them don't know anything about the gym industry, or they've never been into a gym, and all the guys and gals that are in there that that they're like looking at something, they're like, hey, you want me to show you out? And it's like a real tight knit club. And so if you ever have any questions and you're down there, you can ask anybody, and everybody's friendly. And like I said, I've never had anything get stolen from there, and I've owned it for 12 years. I've had a pair of Beats headphones when they first came out, sitting on the counter for like 3 months. Somebody forgot them down there. Didn't even know they went. I think they lost them. And so they came in and they said, hey, whose are these? And I was like, they've been there for a couple months. And he's like, these are mine, dude. Yeah, thanks. I was like, where have you been? What I mean?
Yeah, where have you been the last few months?
Yeah, I was like, so you haven't been lifting it? What have you been doing, dude? What I mean?
I can't go without my headphones, and now I'm chosen to come
Yeah.
suffer. And look, I've been rewarded.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's awesome. That's so crazy. Wow. And so what's interesting to me is I feel like I hear a lot of people, especially with a smaller gym, start with like, oh, I was a personal trainer, or I was a physical therapist, or like something already physical in their life that got them started into like, oh, now I want to be a coach, or now I want to be an owner. But it doesn't sound like that's what started your progression.
No, like I say, I was just kind of a young kid thinking that I don't want to work for anybody because I've been stubborn. And I told my parents, I was like, I'm not going to college because I know I'm going to party too much. I knew myself, and I was like, I'm going to go get in trouble. I'm going to waste money, and I'm not going to major in anything. And I was like, I'm just going to go into working class. And I went out for, I think, 2 years or 3 years. And I honestly wasn't even saving any money up when I had to get really crafty with buying that business. I've always been, I guess, crafty in ways of operating. And so I had my business projections and my spreadsheets and everything built out. And I had somebody that went to college for accounting help me. It was my cousin Randy, and he's brilliant. He's an electrician now. He's not using his master, but I use him for banking stuff all the time. I'm like, hey, cuz, what if I'm doing this? Can I use this or this or that? And he's like, well, probably better do it this way. I'm like, thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm trying to find the easiest way to make it go smooth, but work for everybody and everybody wins. And so I had to get kind of crafty, and I had to put, I think, a car I owned and something else on the loan towards getting a loan to buy the business. So they had some type of collateral. And then I was paying an extra loan on top of that car and stuff I put in. So I was paying one loan, and then I had another little teeny bump loan on that my car and everything was attached to. So I was paying them off, even though they were already paid off. And they had my titles. But that worked out great because now all I owe on is the building. And I have all the equipment paid off, all the IT stuff, the networking, all that good stuff. And it's a good thing in small towns. It's a double-edged sword because you don't have the amount of people and per capita. You don't have the hordes of clients that you can come in and even the day passes. But you do have good people that are in your corner. So my IT guy works out at my gym. So if I ever have any door problems or the pin pad getting into the systems or anything or the cameras, I'm like, Earl, where are you at? You're gonna come down to the gym today or what? And then he'll pop in and fix it for me. But it's good to have people like that in your corner. And I think it takes a village. It really does to build something great in a small community. And that's what I think all the gym communities, that's the beautiful thing too, is around the world. everywhere I've been, the gym communities are usually pretty tight. You know what I mean? They're pretty tight knit. They might do CrossFit. They might do something different than you're doing, because I'm more old school. You know, the golden era Arnold. You know, I'm old school on stuff like that, even though I'm only 35. But I like the older stuff, and I've always had older friends. You know, but I'm an old soul in a young body, I guess, even though I don't feel young.
Yeah, well, I'm sure with three boys, man, you got to figure out how to keep up.
Yeah, and gosh darn, I tell you what, the little one, he's 7, and he's a wild one, but you can reel him in. Our middle child, he's the one I'm like, gosh dang, like I'm constantly. I was hoping they were going to want to go to, you know, because I was going to put him in that early spy school, or well, I guess the CIA. There's a CIA and FBI school you can go into, and you do like scenarios of, it's on in Virginia, but you do scenarios of like catastrophic events, and you'll do training, and then you'll have a job, so you'll be the Secretary of the State, and I'll be the president, and I'll be like, hey, we got to do this, and then they have to, you know, decipher, and it's a cool thing, and it pre leads them into intel and the intel community and all that good stuff too. So, but because I think my boys are really smart, and if they go the right path, they're going to do really good. But if life's all about choices, though, and I'm a firm believer in that too. And so you gotta let them do. You can't make people do what they want to do. But I think they're all good boys, and they got good heads on their shoulders. But they worry me. I think they're supposed to. But
That's awesome. So do they end up like lifting and doing things at your gym too?
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So I don't really let my 7-year-old in there, because I have in my house here, I have a home gym too. And so they usually hit the home gym if they're not out, because my oldest is 14, but he looks like he's 21. I call him my baby giraffe. He's like 6'3", and I had him here for a bit, and now he's up here, and I'm like, dang, you turd. So he blew up and got tall on me, and so he goes to the gym, and he gets that, you know, proper, because I'm a firm believer too in the gym etiquette, proper gym etiquette. You know, if you're in there not messing around, I mean, you have your horseplay every once in a while, but I mean, I'm in there to get a lift in, and I want to, you know, I'm in there for results, and a lot of people don't have all the time of the day, so they're like, I'm going to pop in my lunch break, and I don't want a bunch of kids, you know, in there, and it's not nothing against the kiddos or anything, but I know how it is when I was young too, you know what I mean? And when I was younger, I'd get in there and I'd monkey around and try to throw around weight I shouldn't have been, and that's probably partially why my back's bad, but shoulder impingements, bicep impingements, I mean, I got all sorts of stuff
You
going
just
on
don't
now.
bounce back like you used to.
No, that's a bad thing too. I was talking to somebody about the other day. I said, you know, 2 years ago, I probably would have healed up from this little guy, and I mean, I'm 4 weeks out, and it's 8 weeks before I even should have a cast on. But like I say, I concentrating on PT a little more, and I still feel like a lizard. I told him to chop it off, and I didn't even need them, so at least I still have them, and they work.
Yeah, I think hands are like one of the worst, because you don't really realize how much you need them until you've lost it.
And how many neurons fire when you're doing stuff, and you're not even aware of your hands moving. And that's what when I first did it, that really reeled me in, and I was like, that's how much. I mean, it puts things into perspective on how much you use them and whatnot. And like I say, all the neurons that just every little motion and movement in your hand, and when it's boogered up, and you're like, I feel that there, and you can almost pinpoint where your muscles are, you know, flex at, and
Oh,
just crazy.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so you said PT, like do you go to see somebody for PT, or do you?
I do, because I don't have any doctorates or anything like that and degrees on that aspect in the fitness world. I have a lot of different degrees and different things, but so I do go see a wonderful lady named Bailey. She's a rock star, and she knows her stuff. She's good at what she does, and so she's been leading me back on track and getting me rocking and rolling again. But I go to Buffalo PT. My cousin actually is part owners in it's Buffalo Physical Therapy, Sheridan Physical Therapy, and I think there's one more, and she's partial owner there. Like there's 6 owners in them, and so she owns partial of that company. So I use them, you know, and I spread the wealth out and keep the family happy too. So yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. So then do you end up knowing most of the whole like community and like up into Sheridan and that whole area near the mountain range there?
Which it's unfortunate, because I know pretty much everybody, and everybody knows me. So anytime I go to the store, I'm like, do I got at least 30 minutes? Because I'm going to be talking, and I like to talk. Unfortunately, that's one of the downfalls of owning your own gym, is you go in to work out, and then I work my jaw muscles out. I tell you that much. I promise I'll work them out. But sometimes I don't get the sets in I want to, you know, just because I talk and politic. But it is, I do know pretty much, you know, everybody from here to even Montana. I know people in Montana, South Dakota. I have in my networks over the years, I used to be in an MC too, a motorcycle club. I wrote an auto bio for American Dream TV, ADTV did a little piece on my gym and on the bar. I think it was 3 or 4 months ago, I want to say. And so if you hop on ADTV, it's a national TV network, you can find the piece. It should be in Buffalo, Wyoming. April Pulley was the main lady she was talking to us about, but uh, she came down and we did that, and I was it's a good thing knowing everybody, but like I said, I have my networking between that, the film stuff, the my Hollywood network that I work with on the side with the contracting and the firearms business. I used to own a detail shop. I closed that down about 3 years ago. I owned it for 3 years, and the problem there is I couldn't find somebody that would want to work, and I was paying very well for somebody to be in and cash, and I was paying them weekly, and it was just hard to find good hands, and because they would be around for a little bit, so I had to shut that down. But I still get calls for that to this day. But I got way off topic. I was going about the auto bio, and so I wrote this auto bio form, a little short snippet, probably a 3 paragraph thing, and they were like, "Are you sure you're not 80?" Because I've worked in the methane field, the uranium mines, Your Honor's uranium one. I've worked out in, like I say, a lot of the oil fields. I've done, because my parents used to own methane pulling units too. They owned a construction company, Yale Journal on Well Service and Construction. And so I've worked a lot of different things. I can operate equipment. I can dang near defuse a bomb. I mean, but knowledge is power at the end of the day, and I'm a curious little sponge for it. I don't ever want to quit learning. I'm always wanting to learn the next thing, even when it's frustrating and I don't understand it. I'm like, you're gonna figure it out, or something's gonna click. One of these days something's gonna have to click on it. Just keep on. That's that persistent thing. Just keep pushing, keep moving forward. And I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, well, I think and consistency is just what ends up making the difference.
Consistency is key.
Yeah. So, and I
That is
think the
true.
community needs that, especially in like small, tight knit communities. The consistency kind of proves to other people, like, oh, no, you're actually here and you're actually going to make a difference, or you actually matter, or you care about me.
1,000%. We did a little thing for Easter at the gym. We put little Easter eggs, and we put like one you can win a pair of headphones, and then another one you can win something. But then I had like little cards that said, "You're the reason we do this, and you make a difference in the world." Like stuff that would like pump you up. You know what I mean? Because I think it's just people need that, and everybody needs that comrade. We need to be more united these days. It's super unfortunate. I see it all over the place where people are at everybody's throats and necks, and just it's such a. I mean, bad thing. Like everybody's wanting to fight, and I mean, there's a time and a place for it. Don't get me wrong. There's a need for everything, and that's why. I mean, I don't like war, but there's a need for war. It's not clean. It's messy. It's always going to be that way. But we shouldn't be fighting each other in the states, and like there's just more. We're better than that at the end of the day, and that's why another great thing about the gym, because whenever I go down there, everybody's just like I say, it's how it should be. Everybody's just happy, and everybody's how's the kids, and what are you doing this weekend? Talking about I'm going to soccer, I'm going to softball, or whatever it is, and hey, good job, nice rep on that, and churching everybody up and praising them, and that's how it should be. We all should be in each other's corners,
Yeah.
and so you're 100% right. That community is huge, and having everybody be on the same page and just coming together as one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and I know that so many other people are feeling that too, because so I actually host the Women Who Walk Cheyenne's Facebook page, and we have over
Good
300.
for you.
Thanks. We have over 300 members, and we have our first meet and greet tonight at the Paramount Ballroom. But except for when we're recording this, this will be launched like way past this. But so hopefully it goes
That's
well by
amazing,
the
though.
time this comes out. But
Yeah.
I had brought up to people, I was like, hey, like if you haven't, like told us you're coming or whatever, like please let us know. Or like my number one question for people today is like, why aren't you coming? And
Yeah.
one of the first comments was like, I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of us are really afraid to come because we don't want to have to deal with politics. And I'm
Oh,
like, I don't even know why we got to bring that up. Like, ladies, we have
yeah.
so
Why is
many
that a thing?
conversations. We don't even need to talk about that.
And why does politics always get dragged into things? That's what drives me nuts. We're just trying to work on this group. We're not even working on politics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think we need to get back to on like before the internet, where you could like still be friends with somebody and absolutely disagree with them, and it'll be
A
totally fine.
1,000%.
Yeah,
Because like I say, AI has been great. It really worries me. I know there's a lot way crazier techs out there. We're always 20 to 30 years behind. DARPA is always this technology we have, each one of these things, our phones have 32 microchips in them. They can do a lot of crazy cool stuff, but that's 20-year-old technology. We're way farther advanced. And so the good thing about technologies is it helps relieve a little bit of the heavy lifting on some people's shoulders and whatnot. I mean, there's double-edged sword every time, but we've advanced in the last 8 years more than we have in the last 20 years in tech. And it's not slowing down by any means. These quantum entanglement, or not quantum entanglement, quantum computing, some of these things like that, I get to see some different things on projects on the back end of some of these things. And I'm like, that's really cool, but dang it, it's terrifying. You know what I mean? Like, with what it can do and how. So I think you're right. I think, honestly, like, not a reset, but like, you don't want to regress, but the tech is getting a little bit too much because there's keyboard warriors that'll sit behind it and they won't ever come out, and then it stems all these fights and all this stuff. And I'm like, come on, guys, like, let's all just be. I've seen some of my guys I help out on the back end, and what people are saying to them, and like, death threats and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'm like, this is just, we don't need to be doing that. Like this, we're better than that. That's all there is to it. We're better than that as humans. Like, we don't need to be doing that stuff. Like, let's all work towards the same common path, same goal. We can, like you say, agree to disagree if we don't agree on it, but let's still keep working towards the same common goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
we're all in it together.
Yeah. And I think that's why, like, moving forward, I think a lot more people are going to notice a change into like wanting more in-person experiences. And I think that's what really has like drawn me to like wanting to talk to gym owners or fitness studio owners or any of that kind of like actual stuff. Like, gym is an experience, like whatever it is, whether it's like CrossFit or powerlifting or like Arnold, any of those things are an experience, and it's a lifestyle. It's ending up to be like something that you just take with you. It's an identity piece.
1000%.
So, and that's where I feel like people need to go outside and go touch grass and like go experience
all the flowers.
Yeah.
Don't be sitting behind the screens and all the VR and all the tech and all that cool. I mean, that's cool.
It is.
It's cool. And I do agree with the tech with like the unmanned aircraft and stuff, because we're not putting lives in harm in different operations and getting shot down and all that good stuff. So like I said, there is pros to said tech, but then like I said, the back end of things is there's a lot of bad too. So I just actually at the bar, I was just having a conversation with an old war vet, and he was saying pretty much the same thing. He goes, yeah, we need to go back to before there was computers and these damn phones and this technology. And I was like, no, I get it, brother. 110% I get it. I was like, it does make things easier. It's nice to be able to call, my boy and be like, hey, you good? Where you at? If he's riding a scooter out, and make sure and put tabs on him. But let's go back to the old days. Send some smoke signals out. You know what I mean? Believe it or not, I'm half Indian, so I can say that.
Hey.
I'm Ojibwe. My dad looks like Pablo Escobar, and everybody's like, when I go back to the res that he grew up on, and my family lives in Minnesota, they're always like, who are you? And they're calling me white boy, and I'm like, hey, I'm not all white, dude. Like, I'm indigenous too, and I feel very close to that side too. I'm a huge like nature guy, so when I'm in the mountains and in the forest, and I mean, if I could, I'd get down on my skivvies and I'd be running around, I just feel free. It just feels like I don't have any ties to the real world. There's no chains on me. That rat race we're always constantly living in, and all the insurances and we need, the fuel prices are going up the same. Interest rates and everybody's all worried about that. And I just like to be in the nature and just have nothing. No sound of silence is just perfect. The wind rustling through the trees, it's like almost like a song. It's beautiful to me. I take my dogs. I have 4 dogs, and I take them up on a walk every morning in the mountains, because we live right at the base of the mountains in Buffalo. And so I take them up about 5 miles up the hill in this little turnoff, and we go walking through the hills in the field. I think I have to put my oldest one down, though. We had to take him to the vet last week, and he has a pretty good mass growing on him that he's had a little mark on him his whole life. But so I'm trying to get him out as much as I can, because I don't want to have him operate and all that. It's going to probably be worse. So I'm going to get as much good as I can out of him, and then probably have to have him take him home. But that he loves the mountains too. Like I say, all my puppies, I have the weirdest arrangement of puppies. I have a couple. So my old man that I have to probably put down here soon, he's a hanging tree, border collie, Catahoula, Airedale mix. Then my white and black dog's a border collie husky mix, Reese. I call her Reester Keister, and I call Aries Aristoterist. And then I got a Yorkie called Baxter. And then I got a big old German Shepherd, my fur missile, and he's called Goliath. He's 140 pounds, and he's a well-oiled machine.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So not only 3 boys, but 4 dogs. That's incredible to keep up
Yeah,
with all of that.
I don't sleep much. Everybody's like, do you sleep? And I was like, you know, 5, 6 hours tops a night, and then get it back up and do it all over again. But it keeps me young, keeps the old heart pumping.
Do you
Yeah.
find that there's like specific people in your community or just like in your close network of circle that end up supporting you a lot or like mentoring you or somebody you look up to?
Yep. So I honestly, all my buddies that I hang out with, I look up to. I find great in everybody. You know, I find amazing things in each person, and so everybody has super strong qualities and strengths. You know, and so my buddy Trav, he's an old Marine, and him and his wife Beck, she's selling a lot of Jocko supplements, and so I have them in the back of my gym. She actually just started using the back of the back, like I had a little kind of storage room. We call it the Harry Potter closet, but it's a little teeny room in the back, but she has it set up perfect, and it has all her Jocko fuel stuff stocked. So back at Holy Better Fitness, she's amazing, and she's doing peptides. She's working with doctors. She can do blood panels. She can do all sorts of really cool things. And I think the peptide game is going to revolutionize the whole industry. I'm a firm believer. I've seen great things. I have a poor buddy of mine's going through brain cancer, and it's terminal. It's not going to be good. But we had a benefit. We raised him $30K. That was great. We did a big benefit for him. The town showed up. That's another great thing about our little community of Buffalo.
Yeah.
When people need it, they come together.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, in full force.
Yeah.
And so we did that for him, and got him, like I said, got him some money raised, and I donated a year membership and some tanning packages from the gym. And like I said, we went around town, and me and Steph, remember, she owns Embroidery Bar, and I get all my apparel and stuff done through my AAPS, my BACs, and all that stuff done through her. But me and her kind of spearheaded that and got that going for him. But it takes like I say, it takes a community, like a small town to make a village, to make things happen. And I've seen it happen over and over in Buffalo, though. Have you ever been to Buffalo?
I think I've driven through it.
God, you got to stop in. You got my contact info. So next time you come through, you have to get a hold of me. I'll show you the gym. I'll show you the bar. I'll show you the couple other, businesses. And then we can, if you want, we can all take the pups and we'll all the family, and we can all go for a hike.
That would be incredible. The mountains are beautiful up there.
And I have some really cool honey holes that like not a lot of people know about. So little waterfalls and stuff during certain times of the year, depending on when you come up. I'll bring you around and show you the beautiful side of Buffalo too.
That would be good, yeah, because you were talking about, like, it's just such a great place to, like, stop and experience all this stuff, and I'm like, I feel like every sign going, like, so I'm in Cheyenne, so you go, obviously, north, right, to get there, but then it's, like, even when I've gone, like, from Gillette to, like, the other side, like, every sign just makes it seem like Buffalo is just something that you just, like, don't blink, or you will miss this experience.
Miss it, you do.
Yeah.
You really do. But the cool thing, it's like a little picture book story. Like, it really is. It's just a cute little town, and we have all these little shops down the main street, and some of the older town members, I guess, aren't as open to having new people come in, which is the only bad part. And I'm like, you guys got to get off that high horse. It's like something like you can't keep on strong holding the town. Like, it's gonna move, it's gonna grow, that has to happen, because that's the world. The population grows. You know what I mean? And I don't want it to implode overnight, because we need the infrastructure, we need enough water, we need enough power, we need the grids. You know what I mean? But we do need more. Like I said, there's good and bad things. We do need more cost-effective living. Everything's here is really expensive. It's like I said, beautiful, but it's cost of living here isn't cheap. And it's not cheap anywhere right now, but definitely I worry for my boys when they get older. If they want to live in town, they're going to have a hard time buying a house. I mean, every house in the market's $400K. You know what I mean? It's not cheap. It is a really, like I say, really beautiful little quaint, neat, safe, little haven of a town. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, we have the same problem here in Cheyenne too. And I always laugh because we get like people in the group chat of like Cheyenne Community Connections who are like, oh, me and my family are looking to move from like Tennessee or from God knows where, and everybody is like, we're full, we can't help you, it doesn't exist.
Cheyenne's not true.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a very weird thin line of like, we need the growth, we need people, but like also it's like too expensive, and there's just like no, please stop coming here.
Are you seeing in Cheyenne like a lot of little places closing down? Because that's the only thing I see that's super unfortunate, is the littler businesses that they might have been in operation for 2 or 3 years, and then they can't make it and they're shutting down. And the restaurants around here is very sparse. We had a great new restaurant open, Tavern 307, and it's Jess, and she's one of my buddies, and then it's her husband Matt. They have a really great place, and we needed it. We don't have really very many food options. Paisano's Renee Tiller, she owns that, and that's a great pizza place. I mean, it was on Guy Fieri's TV show, and when she first moved to town, Joe Tiller actually used to coach Purdue, and that's his daughter, and so when they moved to town, I was working for a different company. I was working for Charter. I was a cable technician at that time, and I was helping them out. And then on the back, they're like, "Well, we wanted this over here," and I was like, "Well, they're going to charge you." I was like, "I'll come over. You buy the stuff. I'll come over and I'll run it for you."
Wow.
I was like, "How's that sound?" You know what I mean? And so they're like, "Okay, perfect." So we've had a great friendship since then, and that was when I had the gym still, but I was just doing side things on the side because it always hasn't. Like I say, gyms, you can make a lot of money in them, but the demographics of Buffalo, it's just you don't have the population. You don't have that to where, because we have the Y, we have a CrossFit, and the Thompsons own the CrossFit place, and they're right next to me. Amazing people. They're great people too. He's actually just got on the force, so he's a PD officer. And then we had a Pilates studio, I think, but I think that even kind of went to the wayside. But it's just hard to keep, sustainable businesses open in Buffalo with the tourism season. If you're a business in tourism, hotels, little stores on the main drag and stuff like that, you have to take all that money, bars like we have, bars and restaurants, you have to take all that money from summertime, from all the tourisms, the tourists coming in, and then save that for wintertime to kind of float you through, because wintertime's pretty sparse.
Yeah.
If you can make it till May, you're pretty good usually. But
yeah. For us, it's the Frontier Days in July.
And it has a huge influx, yeah. Mm-hmm. My brother, he used to ride PBR, and he rode in that rodeo a few years back. And then my brother-in-law is Chet Johnson, so he rides bareback. He's PRCA, so he rides in them still. I told him, I'm like, dang, dude, you're getting up there. You need to start thinking about retirement here one of these. But he's good at it still, so I mean, do it until you can't, right? Use it before you lose it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Great legends like that. We need to have at least be like teachers or mentors. Like, bring it to younger people.
Don't let him break himself too much. You know what I mean? So he can be a teacher and a mentor.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the adrenaline rush, I think, kills people.
It really does, and I'm an adrenaline junkie. That's my problem. I just need to be living on the edge, and I'm always like, if I'm not, in some kind of crazy, I just feel like I'm not living. I just feel like it's just like life's monotonous sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's one of my, it's a strength, but it's also a weakness, depending on how different applications, I guess. But I
think, would that explain the contracting?
Yep. Yeah. That way, that's when I feel free and alive. That's when I feel, when I'm scanning hands and waistbands and scanning the crowds and walking through with the guys, you know what I mean, and making sure ain't nobody can try nothing crazy, and watching body language, demeanors, and just trying to take it all in and fast pace, and everything's going, so that's when I feel free and I feel alive. You know what I mean? That's
Have you heard of flow?
Flow.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. What?
There's like a psychological state of flow, and it's like when things just move so smoothly and you're in such a natural element of like doing something that time just flies. But it's like when people feel the most alive.
I flow all the time. That makes sense. I'm gonna look more into that, because that makes total sense, because it feels like everything's slow motion, but everything's going on in real time. But you can almost like in a movie, you can almost break down and it's like slow things down, and you can see and diagnose and decipher. And in my mind, how my mind works.
Yeah.
I do better under pressure usually. You know what I mean? I have to have some kind of pressure on me, and especially if it's like I procrastinate. So like the jobs, I usually get to the tail end of it, I'm like, oh, we gotta get this done. But then I get it done that much quicker, and it's flawless. You know what I mean? Flow is what we call that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The book I had read a while ago on it had been from, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, but been from an author who was discussing the state of flow because he would jump off of cliffs in like a squirrel suit.
Oh, the flying one.
Yeah. Yep. And that is like so adrenaline junkie and like so like, exhilarating. And it just, everything's moving so fast, but it's yet so slow at the same time.
So. Yeah. I want to try one of those. No, it's not is it called a paraglider is the one with I want whatever that is. I want to do it.
I thought it was a squirrel suit. I don't know, but yeah,
You're probably right.
you knew what I was saying. Flying
Yeah, I
squirrels.
know. I'm tracking. I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
Yeah,
I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
that's awesome. Yeah, adrenaline junkies, I think, are an interesting breed. That's for sure.
We're a different breed.
A
That's for
different
dang sure.
breed. Yeah,
Yeah.
right up there with Marines. That's for sure.
Yeah. Some of my Marine buddies and my even some of my well, I got a lot of different buddies I got that have been in different branches, and
Mm.
they each have their own little craziness, you know, their own little crazy tweaks,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. I love them for it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think those are the kind of men though that we need to like lead the next generation to like bring out for people to like learn to live, like go live life. It
Yep.
doesn't have to be
Yeah,
scary.
that's exactly it. Don't be scared. Fear is just an emotion, and people let it overrun their lives when they you know, and then especially if you concentrate on it, and it just emphasizes and it builds. I tell my boys all the time. I say, do one thing a day that scares you. Now, not that gonna kill you, but do one thing a day that scares you. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna make you be like, oh man, get that heart rate up and get you live. That's alive. You're being alive, and it's not. Don't fear things. I try to tell them don't, because everybody fears. That's a common denominator around the world. We talk to people fears death, and I think it's because we don't understand it. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't know what. But I've always been the type of guy that if I want something, I do it. If I want to get it, I go get it. You know what I mean? And that's how I've always been. And so I tell people all the time, like, well, aren't you scared of death? And I'm like, no. I kind of worry about maybe my life choices sometimes, and I'm like, well, did I did I probably shouldn't have done that? You know what I mean? And so I'm gonna have to, you know, pay for my sins from the big man above. But we're creatures of habit. We're humans, and we nobody's perfect.
Right.
So I always tell them I wouldn't fear it, because in all reality, and that this goes off to a way other tangent, but some of the stuff projects I've been around and worked on is consciousness. And so I'm a firm believer that consciousness never leaves. It's always, we really are an antenna in a sense, and we're picking up consciousness from all different times and different planes and all that good stuff. And some of that gets a little whoopy and wooey for me, because I've talked to guys, you know, theologists and you know, a lot of different very, very well trained individuals, and talked about a lot of different things. But then at the end of the day, sometimes I think I'm like, I can't understand that. I get it, but then, like I say, I keep on trying to make it make sense. But it's a lot of information, and it's a lot of, and like I say, it's just realms that I would need a lot more studying in to understand. But I think at the end of the day, fear, like I say, it's people shouldn't be scared. Be scared. You got to be scared in certain instances, but don't let it overrun your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's born dying. We're all going to die, so that's inevitable. So people need to stop worrying about that.
Did you bring up earlier that you rode a motorcycle?
Yeah, I used to be in. I still have a couple Harleys, and so I used to. I when I was young, I used to race motocross, HPMA, High Plains Motocross Association, and SDMA, South Dakota Motocross Association. Their indoor circuits, arenas. And then I got, liked riding so much, I got a road bike, which my first one was a Yamaha R1, and allegedly I used to ride wheelies on the highway. I would never admit to that, but passing, you know, semis and whatnot, and me and a couple of our buddies would go. I'm lucky to be alive. Like I say, my angels that have been watching over me, they're probably like, this kid, like, I am tired, but I've made them work, you know, the whole time. But then I got into Harleys, and I got into a motorcycle club, an MC, and I rode with them. I went from being the enforcer up to the president, and then I was running the club for a while. We were the Seventh Order in Buffalo. We had a chapter. We had 7 or 8 guys. I think they still have 3 guys here, but they patched over to a different. It was bad 7-ounce Gremium. But, so I was riding in the club for a while, and that's another thing that makes me feel free. My newest bike, I got a 2015 Road Glide, but it's turbocharged, so that thing goes pretty good.
You need it on these long roads in Wyoming. There's nothing out here.
It's really, it's just empty, and that's so, like I say, I've always enjoyed like going fast, or being in like planes, and you know, doing things like that. So my buddy Joe, he flies for Neptune. He's a slurry jet pilot. So if the big fires, he's the one dumping the slurry or the water over him. And he has a couple planes up here. He has a Viking and then a Cessna 182. And so we go flying every once in a while, and that's the kind of stuff that makes me feel free. You know what I mean? He's always like, well, this one we're having some issues with. That's what we're working on, is our ground stable. I'm like, You got it. You're a good pilot. It's like, I ain't worried.
That's awesome. That's actually really incredible that you bring all of this up because so you were talking about how like people are like, "Oh, don't be afraid," or "Are you afraid of dying?" or whatever. I have I've grown up with motorcycles and everything, but I really want to learn how to ride one myself or like at least ride on the back of a crotch rocket. I haven't done that yet, and so like I have like a bucket list of things I want to do before the end of the year. And
Good.
my friends are like, "You're gonna die. Like you can't own a
No.
motorcycle. Like you're gonna." You know how many people I know who've like smashed their face or lost a limb or just my cousin, my third cousin died from riding a motorcycle. And I'm like, listen, I just want to experience things.
Yeah. And don't let them be hating on you. Be like, hey, you could die walking across the street. I could get hit by a comet, for all we know when I walk outside. Like anybody could die anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be like, so let me live. And that's a dang good for you to have that list, that bucket list. I tell people to do that all the time. Like, write down what you want to do because I've seen it over and over and over too many times. People don't live. They work and they work towards retirement to where they can retire to live.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, this is a real quick short story, but I one of my mentors, and he's not with us no more. He had cancer and passed away not too long ago, but his name was Virgil Harold. And the guy looked like he was 90 for years, but he was really, I mean, I think he was 82 when he passed. I think so, but he used to rent, before I expanded on my gym, he used to rent the other little side I had, and he had a furniture store. He had Sit, Sleep, and Relax, and it's the Crazy Woman Liquors, but it's that huge building in Buffalo. It's a big old thing, and he had furniture. He was the biggest furniture salesman in Buffalo for sure. And he taught me a lot in business and a lot over the years. I actually, when I was a young kid, I started helping him out moving the furniture, and I got some of my buddies together and kind of had a crew. So he'd call me and be like, "Hey, can you move this couch to this address today?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And I'd get $20 for doing it, and then I'd have a glass of vino with him after because he loves his wine. So we'd sit on the furniture at the storefront, watching TV, watching news, drinking a glass of wine, and I'd let him get going. I was, all right, Virgil, I'm going to get out of here. But he taught me a lot in life, and it really made me sad because on his deathbed, I was in the hospital with him, and I asked him, I said, Virg, what do you regret in life? Like, what do you wish you would have done different? And what made your life what it was? Because he was getting toward the tail end, and he told me he knew it wasn't going to be, and he was getting blood transfusions because he was bleeding out internally, and it just wasn't, not. And for him, he was a mover and a go getter. I mean, that guy, he was moving furniture. Even he'd be rocking it. I'm like, don't, Virgil, sit down, damn it, don't do that. Like, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to herniate your back or something. And so he told me, he said, the number one thing I wish I would have done was not work as much and spent a little bit more time with my family. Because he had millions. He gave his wife $1 million when he passed. And then they gave a 2 or 3 more million to a church company to publish Bibles. But just one of the best guys in the world, salt of the earth. And he was, a jokester. He was always, he loved Johnny Cash, kind of looked like Johnny Cash. He'd play the piano too, and he just a dang good guy. So I was his pallbearer. And then about a month after he passed, his wife had cancer, didn't even know she was taking care of him so much. She passed. So then I was another pallbearer in the funeral for her. And that was the end of the legacy because then he only had 3 girls. And then one of the girls, one of his girls, her husband flies for the government. He works on some pretty cool stuff, and he's a private pilot too. But yeah, so life, like I say, life's too short, and so I always drive home with my boys. I say, don't let the daily tasks in the way work, ignorant people, fights, because life's too dang short. We could not make it tomorrow. I could, like I said, I could have a heart attack right now, and at the end of the day, I've been fortunate enough because I'm a little bit crazy, and so I just did what I wanted. And I wouldn't let anybody limit me and say, you can't, because I had so many people tell me I couldn't do all my jobs I did. But what makes that just even better is just being able to smile on their face and say, told you so. I told you I was going to do it. So that's what I drive home is, don't sit back and let life pass you by. And you're doing it right. Have that bucket list. Go out and do stuff. Don't be like, oh, tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. Make it happen today. God dang.
Tell my friends that there's somebody out there who genuinely supports me. I told them, I was like, well, I'm going to jump out of an airplane. I'm going to do all this stuff.
Hell yeah, you are.
And they were like, are you trying to die? Are you trying to leave me? Do you have a suicide mission? I'm like, oh my God. I just want to live, guys.
I'm living.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm living. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them all. You can even call me and say you let her do whatever she wants. She's killing it. She's crushing it in life.
I think the sad part is I can't find enough people to do it with me. That's like the really sad
Well,
part.
you let me know when you're ready to go. I got some paratroopers, and we probably won't even need to go. We can just go up in their planes. Yeah, we'll make it happen. Believe me, like I say, my network is very vast. Everybody's like, so how do you know? Because if I need something, I have somebody on my phone and I can call for it. But that's what's helped me get to where I am too, because I had people in my corner too. So, but you let me know, and we'll make your dreams come true.
You are incredible. I think that even your story about your mentor is incredible, and I think too many people focus on, like, especially not to get political, but in this political climate, we forget, like, with the silver tsunami and the boomers coming down, that like legacy is a lot more than like your kids. It's like, what are we handing the next generation or the three next generations after us? And I think mentorship, or like even community, all of that is like such a massive play. And how are we leaving the next people, after us?
Yeah, because we need the foundation for them to build off of.
Right.
We can't just leave them with, because with everything going on, we can't just leave them with a shit show, a garbage fire.
Yeah.
Speaks my French, sorry.
No.
But so we need to like I say, everybody needs to get more on the same page and have a foundation, have the structure, have the bones of the operation for them, because we're just getting older too. Everybody's getting older. You know what I mean? So the better we can set them up for success. Like, let's give them all the tools they need to be successful, instead of hindering them and just saying, yeah, let's go fight this and ruin all these resources and pull all these men and women over and maybe waste, their lives are going to perish, unfortunately. But let's not do that. Let's be smart. Let's be strategic. Let's work together. Like you say, we have to have a heavy stick. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? And make sure that nobody else is going to step on us. But at the end of the day, let's try to work things out. Let's try to be, not just go towards, well, press the button, you're dead. You know what I mean? We're reverting back to, we're better than that. As people, we all have the same common goals, common issues. We all love our families. We all want to go home at night. We all want to be successful. We all want to, live our dreams. But we all need to work together more to make that happen.
Yeah. And I think, like, you, especially with all of the things that you're into, like, I think you're leaving a lot more of a legacy in Buffalo, Wyoming than you can realize, because it sounds like you've done so much for that community.
I try, and like I say, if we didn't have so many great people in our community that support me too, then I still would, regardless, because that's just who I am. But I'm very fortunate, very blessed, because I do have, the community there. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody has their haters, and so I helped protect some people on the ISIS and the Hamas hit list, and the Al Qaeda hit lists. So I got a lot of haters in that aspect, but also even stateside. I've had people I had to. That's one of the reasons why I got Goliath, is because I was getting some death threats, and there was people that were, and figured out I had a family, and they were not wanting me around. And so I got Goliath to be a guard dog, and good thing he grew up to be his name, because I knew his parents. His dad's a very large dog also,
That's awesome.
and I sent him to a training facility, Tim, in South Dakota, canine training facility, and he's the best. He trains canines what he does is he gets these dogs from the pound in the shelter that nobody wants, nobody will take home. And before I dropped Goliath off, he had a dog that went over to when the hurricanes were going on and went and found the bodies. He trained him up how to yeah. So he's an amazing trainer, and he's right over in South Dakota. Yeah, and Tim, canine, what's his business called? I was going to plug him, because they're great people. And it was a 2 or 3 week course. I went over. I was in D.C. and Virginia, Williamsburg, Virginia, and I was in D.C. for a little bit of work. And so I had my pup dropped off when I was over there, and then when I got back, I went and picked him up right when I got back, and he's trained up now, and he's a good working dog. So if anybody tries to come and get us, they better be ready for a fight.
Yeah, 140 pounds. That's a big dog.
And if my dog don't get him, I'm coming behind him throwing hot lead. And I shoot to kill. I shoot first and ask questions later.
I was gonna say, thank God we're in Winona or Wyoming instead of Minnesota. That's just ridiculous.
You ain't kidding.
Man.
That's why I feel bad for my family in Minnesota, because that place is just going through so much.
So much, yeah. Yep. I'm from Minnesota too, so that's actually hilarious.
Are you really? Where at Minnesota?
It's a really small farming community. It's called Albertville.
Albertville. Is it by where's it by?
So you know the Twin
Like,
Cities?
where's the bigger? Yeah.
There's a freeway that goes all the way to St. Cloud.
Okay.
There's a outlet mall right off the edge in between the cities and St. Cloud, and it's a farming community. And it's usually the Albertville Outlet Mall. A lot of like the Canadians stop there because of the no tax.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my family's from Deer River, Minnesota.
Okay.
It's by kind of by Duluth, Bena, Bemidji,
Yep.
uh,
Hmm.
kind of in that little area.
Hmm. Yeah, where
So
all the good public
small
land
world.
is. Yeah, it is a small
Yeah,
world.
small
Yeah.
world. That's crazy. I didn't know. Yeah, and you look really I don't know why, but you look really familiar.
Oh, I don't,
The more, maybe I met you when I was. Do you travel ever, like on airports or anything either? No.
sometimes I've lived in different states at several times. Yeah.
Because I used to live in the airports. When I was before we bought the bar, I was on the road. I was probably home 3 months tops out of last year. I was just flying countries, states, different areas and places.
Jeez.
It'd be like Dallas, Texas, then Charlotte, or not Charlottesville, Atlanta, Georgia, and then over to, it would just be like a little different. We were doing a on the road tour trying to bring transparency to the American people from some of the black budget programs that one of my business partners ran ATIP, Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Program, from '07 to 17. Precursor was ASOP, which was the ones that studied the Roswell crash and a lot of the other aerial phenomena.
Wow.
Now it's Aero. Their new domain name is Aero. It has a different guy leading it. I don't want to go too much into that because he could do better on his job on that. But that's neither here nor there.
Awesome.
But yeah, so that's. I got way off topic again. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm trying not to ask you questions about contracting. I know several others in that realm, so that alone is very interesting to me. I have too many interests, and this podcast would
But
be a
that's
lot
good.
longer than just 1
That's
hour.
well, and we can always have another one. And we can talk about different businesses if you want to. That's up to you. Like I said, I got to clear my schedule out, but I can make the magic happen.
You have a lot of experience. We could probably talk about a lot of different like jobs and kind of things going on.
I should send you my little auto bio thing, and you can read through it and see if you want to talk about any of the other stuff. Because, like I say, I think what you're doing is great. people need that kind of voice to get out there. Like all the podcasters, I was going to get to go to Julian Dory's in New York. I had the tickets booked and everything for one of the guys I was helping protect for the UAP community because he was going to be on that. He was also on Joe Rogan's podcast at the Mothership, and he was at Sean Ryan's, and then he went over to the Canadian one where they have that big interrogation looking room. He's one of the main podcasters over there. But you guys are crucial to getting the information out there, getting the news out there, getting I mean the bits of information that people don't hear about every day on the back end. Like the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what I mean? Because in life, it's not always going to be pretty and like you want it. If it was, what would be the point?
Right.
You know what I mean? We're supposed to struggle. We're supposed to go. That molds us into who we are at the end of the day as a human, and as a father, as a sister, as a brother, as a cousin, or as an aunt, or you know what I mean. And that's them experiences, and some of it's not good trauma. Some of it's PTSD comes out, but we all learn, and we all live, and we all we're always constantly working on ourselves. And if anybody says that they're good and they're unfortunately they're lying. Because everybody goes through it. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days.
Yeah.
But it's just how you navigate and how you push forward and go through them. A lot of people close down and close up and give up. And you can't do that. Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of NDEs. And the one thing I did learn over, and maybe that's why I'm not scared of death either, because for me, it wasn't scary. It wasn't like everybody else says when they seen, a big white tunnel, and that's what kind of terrifies me, is because mine was not like that. But it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? It was something I couldn't. How I explain it is your senses, touch, taste, smell, hearing. It's like amplified. You can like taste the colors. You can see. It's just weird. It's I can't explain it, and I couldn't fathom it. I don't think we're supposed to, or with what we can perceive and understand. But the one thing I do know is it's not. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, maybe I wasn't there long enough to which is a good thing, because I might not be here today if I was. You know what I mean? But we might not be having this conversation if it was the other way around. But like I say, I take everything, the good and the bad, and I take it in, and I try to find the best in everything. You know what I mean? I try. It's a glass half full, half empty scenario. you can look at it and be like, ah, dang, that glass is half empty. I missed out on this, but or you be like, hey, I still got half of this, in there now. And look at the better picture of it, and the brighter picture. Even if you don't have very much good in it, just try to find the good in it because it makes things a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. The gratitude piece, the positivity piece, like I think a lot of that I definitely am an advocate for. And I think, especially in today's society, we need a lot more of that. So
A
I,
lot more positivity.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. So, wow. Well, so then how can my community or your community, the community of Buffalo, Wyoming, support you in a positive way? Where can we find you? What's happening in your world?
I just say keep on doing what everybody's doing in Buffalo. All my great members, keep on being my great members and keep on coming in and kicking your own butts in the gym because I know sometimes you don't want to after you get off a long day at work or maybe you had too big of a lunch and you're feeling like you don't need to get in there. But stay consistent, stay on track, stay on point, keep on coming in. And I want to give back to the other, like the CrossFit gym. They do great, and I want people to check into them too. Bighorn Fit, that's their name. I want to plug any of your plugs and your guys and gals. I just want everybody to be able to work together. Like I say, this is a great thing. This is a great community you're doing and holding this forum for and keeping everybody intact and engaged. So I want you to keep doing what you're doing too.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I at one point I just thought I would start it to have like more conversations because I feel like people like especially when it comes to like debates or like conversations that like we might not agree on, like I feel like people need to hear healthy conversations overall. But then it
Yeah.
like spiraled because here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, especially, but it sounds like you're dealing with it out there too. Like marketing and like getting the word out is like it's like this weird like small businesses need it in order to thrive but they don't like doing it or don't have any of it and then good luck finding any of it that's free like it's totally free
Yeah.
to be on my podcast, so then it's like it's a toss up, man, and making sure nobody goes under, right? Like you had brought up earlier about like if we have any of those problems about businesses shutting down, and just the unfortunate part is like I was having a conversation with somebody 2 months ago where it's like the community as a whole says that they support everybody, but then it'll be like some pizza shops like, hey, we're closing next week, like come get your last pizza with us ever, and they've got lined out the block, and it's like, well, where have you
Yeah.
been the last few
The whole
years?
time.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a huge thing. Like you say, it's not just in Cheyenne. It's because Buffalo. I was talking to some of the other bar owners and business owners, and
Yeah.
and they're like, everybody thinks you make such a markup on the liquor industry, and I'm like, you really don't. I mean, the draft beers you do, I guess, and the wines you can, but the hard liquors and the cans and the percentage markup percentage isn't as much as everybody thinks. Everybody's like, oh, you're killing it down there. You're making so much money. I'm like, no, we're pulling in X amount a month, but we have 20,000 a month going out in expenditures, and that's just on overhead. You know what I mean? So that's not like the company looks like it's making money on paper, but really it's just coming in, going right back out, coming in, going right back out.
Yeah.
So it's a hard it's a hard thing, and like you say, it's that when people hear they're closing down or something, then they all be like, "Oh, why'd they do that?" But it's because nobody showed up, nobody came out, nobody was utilizing them and their services, so where they could stay afloat and could pay their bills and pay for their overhead and their staff and their product and all that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird thing because it's I don't know if that's how we're wired because everybody's like, "Well, dang it, now they're closed down." It's like, yeah, but how many times have you been down there?
Right.
Well, two or three,
Right.
and you probably spent $12 a time, and so that's gonna your $36 ain't gonna keep them afloat,
Yeah.
through the whole year. You know what I mean? Like they have a lot more going out than that. So like I say, I'm super happy when I heard that you wanted to talk with me, and then I was like, wow, like this is amazing because like I say, you're getting it out there, you're getting the information out there to the people, you're helping the communities, you can build and give information that maybe another gym owner was talking about and going through a struggle and be like, hey, well, this gym implemented this in their plan, their SOP, their standard operation procedures because they wanted to fine tune this part of it where you're having trouble with. Try to implement that and see if it works. If it works, great. If not, take it back out and hit it from another angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think it's just important, like you said, to hear from other people and how they're
yeah,
functioning and making it work. Definitely. Because even your situation, to hear that you have like so many other businesses and stuff, but they're not gym related, I was like, well, that in itself is a diamond in the rough because that's not what happens here. So,
I did. We were talking about the AI earlier, and I did that thing about it was like did a picture of all your stuff of all your business, whatever. Yeah, and I felt like a nerd because I was like, well, now I'm kind of want to do it now, and so let me see if I can find it real quick because it kind of sums it up.
I believe it. Yeah. My gosh. Yes, look at
Has weights,
that.
a gun, holding the drink in a bar, an officers club style bar.
Perfect. Perfect. The buffalo is like the icing on the cake for me. That was it.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nothing
That worked
screams
out perfect.
freedom like a buffalo.
That is so true, and I just love buffalo. I want to get one of these days. I want to get a big old buffalo skull. That's one of my bucket list things. I seen one come up on Upcycle, but I'm so frugal, and so they were like $300, and I was like, if I could buy ammo with that, I could buy. Yeah, I was like, I this is just gonna hang on my wall. I can go out and blow stuff up with this stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Don't let it cut into the gun savings.
No, we can't. We can't do that. That's an allotment I have every month, and I have to have my ammo, my old gun purchases, and my newer gun, and my optics, my thermals and nods, night vision, MBRs, and all that good stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
plate carriers, all the good ballistic helmets. I mean, we can go on all day long. Comms.
Okay, before this episode goes way too long, is there anywhere specific that anybody should follow you online?
Yeah, so if you hop online, and I'm working on, like I say, I'm terrible at promoting my own stuff, but I'm working on a link tree. But if you look on Facebook, just the Buffalo Athletic Club, BAC, and it should pop up, and you'll see our stuff on the gym. And I have one of my buddy's wives helped me on an Instagram page, because I have an Instagram page, but I never really got into it. And I think I have more guns and weird stuff on it than it's supposed to be. So I'm going to transfer that to my gym page. So here soon in the near future, we should have a little more for traction on getting on and checking that out. But right now it's only Facebook. So, but if you have a Facebook, hop on and check out Buffalo Athletic Club.
Perfect. Yeah, I think Facebook seems to be like the go-to still for people. So,
Yeah, it's been great for me on getting the name out there, and like I said, getting members. 80%. Well, I wouldn't say that. I'd say like 80. I say 82% of the people come and say, "Oh, I found you on Facebook."
mm-hmm.
Some say Google. Like the tourists when they come through, they say, "Oh, I see you on Google." So you can also type in Google Buffalo Athletic Club in Buffalo, Wyoming, and it'll show up on there. And if you guys would like, you can give me some reviews when you come through, and if you have
Yes.
came through, because I always like my reviews. I got Best Gym of the Year award last year through Google reviews.
That's awesome.
2025. I got to hang that little plaque up at the gym down there too.
That would be incredible. Yeah, Google reviews I feel like really help businesses, and that people are too quick to do them when they're upset, and they should do more of them when they're happy.
When they're happy, yeah, that's well. And the unfortunate thing is, and people are going to do what they're going to do, but sometimes they go in and they have a bad experience. I've seen it at restaurants and stuff all the time, and it's just a fluke deal. I mean, everybody has a bad day. There's some people that come in to work and maybe they lost a dog, or maybe they lost somebody in their family, or they're just having an off day and they're not thinking right, and then they send something out, it's not right. So I would, if I could also say to everybody, all the viewers out there, have a little more, little more of
Grace.
respect on just on just blasting somebody before you're when you're mad. Try to think it through and look at every tangible aspect of that. What could go wrong or what could go right with it, and try to so it's not, because that does at the end of the day. I had one 3-star review, I think it was, and it wasn't even for my club, because there's another Buffalo Athletic Club in Buffalo, New York, and somebody was not happy with the class there. It doesn't sound like they had the class they were saying they had online or something, and they blasted me. And I was my first year in business, and I was like, "Oh no!" So I was like reaching out to them, trying to find out who they were, and say, "Hey, can you please pull that? I'm not. This isn't Buffalo, Wyoming. This isn't Buffalo, New York. Like you're making my business, my reviews look like really bad. You know what I mean? Because I'm just I don't have very many, so it was looking like a 1-star review, and I didn't want that to be my outlook. So I finally did get through to them, and then they apologized, and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but that place in New York, they suck." And I was like, "Well, I mean, maybe they're doing something." I was like, "Sorry, like I don't know how to help you on that one." You know what I mean? So yeah, just be cautious on reviews, and if you're going to post a good one, by all means, throw it on there. Give them toot their horn and give them an attaboy. But if it's a negative review, maybe think it through and just, if they really deserve it, and if it's if they're rude to you or did something blatantly wrong, then yes, I get it. But if it's something that they can work on and fix and overcome, give them the chance to do that first.
Yeah, absolutely. And that being said, on top of Google reviews, if anybody could review me on YouTube and on Spotify, I would appreciate it, because I don't have any of those. But I hope everybody who's listened, I feel like a lot of people end up finding me through Facebook. So I definitely feel that, where Facebook's like the platform.
Can you
What?
throw this episode on my Facebook
Probably. Yeah.
page? Because then I can share the heck out of it,
Oh,
and then I can get you out there, because
oh,
I have a lot of followers.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. Somehow I had posted, I was trying to think when you were saying like I found you, I was like, I'm pretty sure what happened was I was on the Sheridan's rant and rave page asking about gyms. And I think that's how I ended up finding you. So that's where I was
Me,
like,
yeah.
you're in Buffalo. Like, where did we?
Why are you in Sheridan's page?
Yeah, yeah. And then rant and rave out of all the things to complain about. Here we are.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And we're hashing it all out. I tell you
yeah,
what.
exactly. So yeah, no, absolutely. When this airs, it'll be on Spotify and YouTube for sure. I've had people ask me about Apple and a bunch of other places, but I always share them on Facebook as much as possible. And then I have also Instagram and those kinds of things. And then
Perfect.
hopefully just segueing into all of my stuff as we wrap up the podcast here is I am launching my book, another book. I already have one. I'm a published author on Amazon. Thanks.
Good for
Yeah.
you, Chica. Hell
Thanks.
yeah.
Thanks. And then I just am working on finding members for the Founders Club. So if anybody's listening to this and they found that this episode was helpful and or is inspired by Tucker's journey and want any kind of help or advice or want a community that's going to support them and people like Tucker, please feel free to reach out to me and be able to talk to me about the Founders Club. So Tucker, it has been a really great conversation, probably the longest conversation I've had with somebody on this podcast, but I really appreciate your time today. So thank you so much.
No, thank you, thank you, thank you. And like I said, keep doing what you're doing. Keep rocking it. You're crushing it in life. You're doing great things. I didn't even know you have a book out there. Look at you. You
Oh,
keep on
thank
going.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if anybody on watching this wants to talk, like I said, they can find me and reach out to me if they have any questions too. I'm more than free to. I might not be able to respond right away because I have my phone's been going off the whole time I've been in here, and that's just in the last 48 messages in one. It goes off all day long. So I might be a little bit lengthy response times, and I apologize if you're reaching out for something like that. But I'm always here to help too because I'm a firm believer. Teamwork makes the dream work. All ships rise with the tide. Let's all work together, not against each other, and let's make this place a better planet.
Yes, absolutely. Great. Well, thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a good one.
All righty, guys.
Bye.